May the Lord give this council the wisdom, discernment and courage to serve the community. Grant also that we may act compassionately and in integrity in the best interest of this shire. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. I would like to show respect and acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land and elders past, present and future on which this meeting takes place. Thank you, councillors. Okay, welcome councillors and those in the gallery, and a special welcome to Councillor Mackenzie on your first meeting. We certainly welcome you onto the council. Application for attending meeting by video link.
Nil, Mr. Mayor.
Nil. Apologies.
Nil as well.
Applications for leave or absence by councillors nil. Okay, we've got Councillor Mackenzie to do the oath of the affirmation of office. So Councillor Williams, will you Councillor Mackenzie stand please? Okay, just turn your mic on, just press your green button. Thank you.
I, Councillor Belinda Mackenzie, solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of the people of the Upper Hunter Shire and the Upper Hunter Shire Council, and that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers and authorities and discretions vested in me under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of my ability and judgment.
Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Hands together. Thank you. Now, I think we might just ask if the family wishes to come forward and get a photo with Councillor Mackenzie. I think that'd be great. Okay, councillors, back onto the agenda. Public participation at G 12.3, the Maryville Footpath and Cycleway. Steve Gowland, representing the Maryville District Progress Association, against the recommendation. Thanks, Steve. You come up to the mic, please. After 4 minutes, Steve, I think you know you'll hear that. And that's 1 minute to go.
For putting the matter on the agenda for the meeting tonight. And I'd like to speak on behalf of not only the Maryville District Progress Association, but all the community of the Maryville, Cassilis and surrounding area. And it's about the cycleway. So the new cycleway and walking path, which is currently under construction in Maryville, it's a wonderful new asset for the local community, and it's going to encourage walking and cycling exercise to improve the health and well-being of residents. And we'd like to thank Council for securing funding to allow this project to proceed. However, the issue of adjacent landholders being required to help pay for the cycleway is actually causing some discontent throughout the community and has the potential to derail the acceptance of this wonderful asset. The cycleway is a community project and should therefore be financed by the community and not individual landowners. The subject landowners, they did not request the pathway to be constructed adjacent to their land, and they were not consulted about the cycleway project. Now, in the agenda for tonight's meeting, it says that council consulted with the former council-run committee, the Merriwa Economic Development and Tourism Committee. That committee is a Section 355 subcommittee. So in actual fact, council only consulted with its own subcommittee and not with the Merriwa community as a whole, nor, most importantly, the residents with land adjoining the proposed cycleway. Therefore, the affected landowners were understandably shocked when they received a notice from council that they were liable to pay a contribution of between $1,762 and $4,000. I believe it's unethical to seek payment from any individual or group for goods or services that they have not actually requested, which in this case they didn't. The question of landowner contribution was not mentioned in the planning of the project, although the grant application to the Department of Regional New South Wales may have mentioned such a co-contribution. This was an item added by council independent of any local consultation. Also in the agenda for tonight's meeting, it says council levies fees to property owners to meet the cost of footpath construction, which allows council to recoup the cost of curb and guttering and footpath works undertaken the first time. So in our opinion, as council has not been required to make any expenditure towards the cost of the cycleway, and that's because the $924,775 was grant money from the Bushfire Local Economic Recovery Program. So therefore, it's meaningless to ask residents to recoup council's costs. Now, if you look at the Roads Act, clause 1 of section 217 of the Roads Act says, the owner of land adjoining a public road is liable to contribute to the cost incurred by a roads authority. So in this particular case, council actually hasn't spent any money. So it's impossible to recoup the money from council. The money came from a grant, may have run through council's books, but council didn't actually spend the money. However, the Progress Association and other residents of Merriwa are prepared to come up with an alternative, and that's why we've recommended that the $60,000 co-contribution come from the Merriwa Reserve Funds. Now, in the agenda, once again, it explains that the Merriwa Reserve Fund was established following the council amalgamation with funds from the sale of, was mostly real estate assets in Merriwa. So no similar assets were sold in other parts of the Uphunter Shire, and therefore no other reserve funds were set up. So Merriwa and Cassilis and the surrounding area are in a unique position. I'd like to also draw your attention to, in the agenda, it says the intent of the reserve is to provide benefit to the whole Merriwa community through improvements to infrastructure and facilities. And I think that fits very closely to this particular cycleway project. The agenda also quotes the balance of the reserve fund being $272,000. So that shows that there's sufficient funds in there for this co-contribution. And council will still get the $60,000 to go towards the cost of the cycleway. A precedent has already been set where funds from the Merriwa Reserve Fund were used as a catalyst or a co-contribution to attract $150,000 for replacing some of the footpaths in the central business district of Merriwa. Council has previously specified to the Progress Association that expenditure from the Reserve Fund should have the concurrence of the local community. At a recent public forum, 89% of the attendees voted in favour of the co-contribution coming from the Merriwa Reserve Funds. So therefore, in conclusion, the Progress Association once again appeals to council to utilise parts of the funds held in the Merriwa Reserve Funds for the contribution fees. Please do not let this issue spoil the goodwill created by this fabulous community project.
Thanks, Steve. Just stop there for a moment in case the council's got any questions. Council's got any questions? No questions? I've got one, Steve. Just for in years to come, and we certainly hope there'll be more footpaths and going around the Merriwa district. Will the Merriwa district still and expect that money to come out of that fund?
Well, it's a bit hard. It's not for me to say what may or may not happen in the future, but a cycleway is a little bit different to just a footpath in front of a set of homes, you know, like one block of homes. So if council pays to put in a footpath, then yeah, I think it would be appropriate for the resident to join that to pay, to contribute to offset council's cost of building that footpath.
Thank you. Any other councillors? Councillor Burns?
Steve, thanks for your talk there. You're the president of the MDPA.
Yes,
How many members do you have?
we've got 35 members at the moment.
35. Okay. Would you say that that's a representative proportion of Merriwell?
I think the people that come to the Progress Association and also the people that came to our recent public forum are representative of the people in Merriwell who actually have an interest in progressing the town, and they're all intellectual people, have an interest, and because there are people in all towns that just really don't care about things, you know, they happily go on with their lives. But the people in our association and that came to the forum are certainly representative of a lot of that community, yes.
So the Section 355 committee that was set up by council, because we're required to have them, we don't have that anymore. We've got the Community Advisory Committee now. Why would you think that they're any less passionate than your group?
I don't have that opinion.
Okay. The last question. There's currently, at the moment, we've got a lot of works going on in different towns, Aberdeen, Scone, a little bit in Murrundi. How am I supposed to tell them that they've got to pay for it?
Well, I mean, the Act is quite clear. If council has paid to put down a footpath, then they're required under the Roads Act to contribute to that.
Yeah, the actual road authority.
The road
which
authority,
we
in this
are the
case, is
road
council.
authority.
Yeah.
We're the road authority. Where we get the money from doesn't really matter. We are the road authority. So that's how the Roads Act works.
But as I said, the Road Act's quite clear in that the money is the contribution from the landholders is to recoup the cost of the roads authority. So in the case of the Merriwell Cycleway, the roads authority didn't actually contribute to that. It was all from a grant.
Okay.
So therefore, I mean, I don't believe that council can levy those landholders at all. But, you know, our group wants to see the project go ahead, and we've come up with an alternative way of getting that extra co-contribution of that $60,000.
Thank you.
Any more questions, Councillor Campbell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Steve, for your presentation. I have one question, or a couple of questions, but anyway, you mentioned the fact that the residents, and we sit back to the 355, the Merriwell Tourism and Economic Development. I was chair of that committee, and every time that the meeting was held, there was a quorum. Those committees are set up so that the local people can come and bring their points of view or their questions to that committee for to go through to council. I don't recall any of that those people objecting to it, to the cycleway, or objecting to the fact that there was a co-contribution. Second thing is, of course, that the
Would you like me to answer that first question?
could I just,
Councillor Campbell, just a question?
yeah,
Question.
the co-contribution is only for the old narrow width of the footpath. The extra width, the 2 metres, is actually paid for by ratepayers. So how do you answer?
Any more questions, councillors?
Would you like me to answer that question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, in regard to the, it's actually the Merriwell Tourism and Promotion Committee. And at no stage was at those meetings, which I attended, and in appreciation of you being chairman of that, Ron, there was no mention of landholders adjacent to that cycleway having to contribute. Most of the discussion was about the route of the cycleway, and there was various meetings to decide the route, but there was no mention of landholders having to contribute to that.
Okay, no more questions? Councillor Williamson?
Mayor, thank you, Steve. And I was just curious if I could ask, the $60,000, how did this number arrive? What was the determination behind that?
We got that figure just from council. I'm not sure where that originated. I understand, but this is my just understanding that was part of the grant application. But perhaps somebody from council can clarify that.
Thank you, councillors. Just my thoughts. I thought council did contribute 60,000 as well, but anyway, we'll leave that to another date. I got no more questions. Thank you, Steve.
All right, thank you.
Okay, councillors, we'll move on. The confirmation of the minutes of ordinary council meeting held on the 28th of November 2022. Going to move up. Move councillor Burns, second councillor Campbell. Any questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Carried. Disclosure of interest, Mr. GM.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I have a disclosure of interest on item G 12.6 being the School Achievement and Creative Arts Excellence Award. It's from Councillor McPhee. She's declaring a non-significant interest as she's a staff member at school and on some of the knows some of the nominees through that process. I understand that she'll be leaving the room during the voting.
Thank you, Mr. GM. Okay, we'll move over to SCR 12.1, the Corporate Services Committee on page 14. Move councillor Burns, second councillor Williamson. Questions, comment, discussion?
Could I just make a comment?
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to bring to attention dot 5 and point 6 to the other councillors and anybody listening. Thanks to Councillor Burns over there, endorse and support the Hunter Joint Organisations campaign on section 88 contributions for the EPA and make representation to Dave Lezelle, Minister for Environment and Water, the Honourable Tanya Plibersek, about section 88. Section 88 has been a bit of a thorn in Upper Hunter Shire's side for quite some time, over 10 years now. I just wanted to bring it to the attention that for every $8.50 we spend with the EPA, we are getting back in grants $1.50, which means that we've shelled out nearly $7 million over the last decade, which we are not seeing back, and it is becoming quite a financial burden on this shire. And I just wanted to note that.
Thank you, councillor Williamson.
Sorry, just realised something here. The Minister for Environment and Water needs to be the state minister, not the federal minister. As much as we can send it to her, it does need to be the state minister, and I can't recall that person's name at this moment.
We'll send it. Okay,
I'll make that amendment as the mover, or the change as the mover, Mr. Mayor.
councillor Williamson, you're happy with that? Okay. Any more questions, comment?
Through you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Barry?
I note that the questions put forward by me in those minutes on page 17 are a little distorted to my recollection and review of the meeting. I did not ask for a detailed report. I wanted a simple report. In the report, it's noted that there is a variation to budget reported in the summaries, which is useful, but only to a certain extent. And to calculate that variation to budget, staff need to use revenue, cost, net, and budget. So it's only another 4 dot points, which they need to use to calculate that figure, which would be of great assistance in actually understanding that variation. So I was by no means asking for a detailed report, simply the figures that they are using to derive at that 4 dot points. So I would like that amended for what actually was asked in the meeting. It certainly wasn't a detailed report.
Mr. Mayor, just a comment there. It doesn't say detailed report in the minutes. It says a more detailed breakdown. I believe that was the intent of the councillor's question from the summary report that was presented. She was asking for a more detailed breakdown. That's how it's been recorded. If council wishes to change how it's being recorded, let us know how you want it to be recorded.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, what I asked for was that the 4 figures used to calculate the variation to budget be itemised. 4 dot points. I was quite specific.
Mr. GM, you're happy to just take that on notice?
Yeah, we can change that to record the 4 dot points that council has requested.
Yep, thank you. Okay, no more comments, all in favour? Against? Carried. Over to page 18. SCR 12.2 Environmental Community Services Committee. We'll do this in breakdowns of individually. Someone move dot point 1. Move councillor Clout, second councillor Watts. Questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Carried. Dot point 2, ESC 12.1. I won't read it out. That's all in front of you. Move councillor Watts, second councillor McPhee. Questions, comment, discussion? Hands all in favour? Against? No against. It's carried. Dot point 3, ESC 12.2. Move councillor Watts, second councillor Clout. Questions, comment, discussion? Show of hands, all in favour? Against? Carried. Dot point 4, ESC 12.3. Move councillor Watts, second councillor Clout. Questions, comment, discussion?
Yes, sorry, is this the Town Revitalisation Committee that we're up to? Sorry, I've skipped ahead, sorry. Wrong
We're still
point
on
three.
dot point 4 on the environmental and community. Yes, I've got to move. We've got a second and no more questions, comment, discussion. Show of hands, all in favour? Against? Carried. Dot point 5, ESC 12.4. Move councillor Watts, second councillor McPhee. Questions, comment, discussion? All in favour, show of hands. Against? Carried. Dot point 6, ESC 12.5. Move councillor Watts, second councillor McPhee. Questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Motion is carried. Over to page 53, SCR 12.3 Infrastructure Services. Move councillor Campbell, second councillor Clout. Questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Carried. Over to page 59, C 12.1, Community Advisory Committee, Scone District. Move councillor Watts, second councillor Burns. Any questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Carried. Over to page 64, C 12.2, Community Advisory Committee, Merriwar District. Move councillor Campbell. Got a seconder. Councillor Clout. Questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Over to page 71, Scone Town Revitalisation Committee. There's 3 points of the recommendation. I'm going to move her. Move councillor Clout, second councillor Burns. Any questions, comment, discussion? Councillor Flaherty.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, this meeting isn't recorded that I could go back and have a look at what was said. So I phoned some of the other committee members this afternoon and they had the same recollection that I did relating to point 3, which said that the final artist selection would be made through council, not via public consultation process. We don't recollect that being the case. Our recollection was that we were going to choose the 4, they'd be shortlisted, and then that could be put out to public consultation, that the final artwork could be chosen by the public. So I'm not sure how or when that changed, but that was not the recommendation of the committee from our recollection. And we'd be very open to those meetings being recorded for accuracy in these matters.
Okay, thanks for that comment. I thought we dealt with the recordings that it wasn't going to happen.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it was not going to happen. That is correct. And it's just a shame that it's not recorded, that we couldn't go back and check.
But what I'm
That
saying
now.
is this council made the decision that the meetings weren't going to be recorded. That's
That's-
correct, Mr.
There's
Chair?
no disputing that, Mr. Mayor. What I'm disputing is it's a shame it's not in
Well,
this
yes,
instance that
councillor
we can
Barry, I'm taking that
clarify.
on board, but that's the council, which is council, it made the decision. So-
Mr. Mayor, look, I think probably for the clarification, I think staff are more than comfortable with the public, with the process being more transparent and open. I wasn't at the meeting. I don't know if any of the staff in this meeting were available to comment. But if this council chooses to strike out the not via public consultation process, I think that'd be quite acceptable.
Okay, who moved? Taya? You happy to? The seconder was? Seconder? James, you're happy? Okay, we got that clear? Strike out those words? Okay. No more questions, comment, discussion?
Just through you, Mr. Mayor, you've struck out not via public consultation process, but it still reads that it will be made by council through the recommendation. So does that still allow for that public consultation to occur, that the public can choose that artist?
Mr. GM.
Mr. Mayor, it can do, but if council wants to put words there that gives them greater security, I'd suggest that you put some words around that. If you want to make it very clear that there will be a public consultation process, my recommendation would be add those words in.
Councillor. Is
Look, if the mover and the seconder are happy at the end of dot point 3, which reads confirm the final artist selection will be made by council through the recommendation of the Scone Town Revitalisation Committee following a public consultation process, I think that addresses the intent. The
Through
mover
you.
and seconder
happy,
comfortable.
both happy with that?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to ask, these meeting minutes would have gone through to the committee before before today, correct?
Most definitely, I'd imagine.
So I'm just wondering why we're now, they would have had ample time to read through the meeting minutes, and if there was a discrepancy at the time, that would have been able to have been brought to our attention. Is that correct?
Look, I'd have to take that one on notice as to when the committee was given it, but it doesn't stop council from making amendments to the
But
recommendation. Councillor.
this is the question, the thing that's come up today is that apparently they're incorrect. So I'm just wondering why that hasn't been brought up to our attention earlier if the meeting minutes had already been sent to the committee members.
Yeah, my understanding is they would have been circulated to the committee following the meeting. I can't answer on behalf of the committee members.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm just wondering if it's actually prudent for us to be changing these now, based on the fact that all committee meeting members would have actually seen the meeting minutes and have had an opportunity to tell us if this was incorrect before this meeting today.
So just for clarification to you, Mr. Mayor, I don't believe we're changing the minutes. We're changing the recommendation of the council. Yeah.
Okay, so the mover and the second is happy to add those words. All in favour? Against? Councillor, you against? So 4 is Councillor Collison Williamson. Hands up 4. Watts? Councillor Mackenzie, Councillor Flaherty, Councillor Clout, Councillor Campbell, Councillor Burns is for the change. Councillor McPhee against the change of the recommendation. Okay, that's been carried. Over to page 75, C 12.4, committee membership. Move Councillor Burns, second Councillor Campbell. Any questions, comment, discussion?
Just make a comment, Mr. Mayor. Welcome to the Murrundi District Community Advisory Committee there, councillor.
Okay, no more questions, comment, discussion. All in favour? Against? Carried. Over to page 78. G 12.1 Code of Conduct Complaints Statistics Report for 2022. Moved Councillor Burns, second. Councillor Campbell, any questions, comment, discussion? Councillor Flaherty.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Would we be able to get copies of the code of conduct findings for the ones that are completed and those providing confidentiality to all councillors?
Mr. Mayor, I'll take it on notice. Some are dealt with outside of the council process, and I know there is confidentiality arrangements around that where they're not shared with councillors, but those that can be will be shared.
Thank you. Any more questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Carried. G 12.2, request for donations, 3 points of the recommendation. Move councillor Burns, second, councillor McPhee.
Mr.
Questions,
Mayor,
comment,
could
discussion?
they be moved individually? Or is it?
Well, it's up to the movers. The move by councillor Burns, you wish to do them individually, you're quite happy to put the three together.
Well, I'm happy to put the three together.
Councillor, you happy? Okay, the three are going up together. Any questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Councillor Flaherty's against, councillor Collison, Williamson, Watts, McPhee, McKenzie, Clout. Burns is for, and councillor, as I said, councillor Campbell and councillor Flaherty against. So the motion is carried as is. Okay, we move over to G 12.3. You're right, councillors. 12.3, Merrywall Footpath and Cycleway. Going to move it for the recommendation. Move councillor Burns, second councillor Campbell. Questions, comment, discussion? Councillor Watts.
Speak against the recommendation, please. While I understand affected landowners did not request a cycleway, affected landowners usually don't request a footpath, but would still need to pay a contribution. What I am concerned about is why during consultation, there was no suggestion that there would be a cost and that funding would not cover the entire cycleway. The correspondence states the uniqueness of the situation, where if the MRF is used, there is no precedent set as other areas of the Shire do not have a fund to access.
Any more questions, comment, discussion?
Yes,
Yes,
I agree
Larry?
that perhaps an amendment could be made that it is taken out of the Merrywall Reserve Fund. It's clearly what the community are asking for, and whilst council may have included in their funding grant proposal that $60,000 in contributions would be made by the council, I don't think it restricts council from saying that it must be from the adjoining property owners. I think that the spirit of the agreement would probably allow for council to contribute $60,000 from another fund.
Thank you. Are they both comments? You just made a comment. Yours a comment.
Mine's a comment, and I'd like to foreshadow an amendment to this.
So you're putting a foreshadowed. That foreshadowed will come in after we handle the motion as is. Okay, we all aware? Okay, I'm putting the motion up as is, moved by councillor Burns, second councillor Campbell. Show of hands, please, for the recommendation. So we've got Burns, Campbell, McKenzie, McPhee, Williamson and Collison for, and against is councillor Watts, councillor Clout and councillor Flaherty. So the motion is as is. Carried. Okay. Page 98, G 12.4, Committee for the Hunter membership.
I'll move that, Mr. Mayor.
Move councillor Burns, second councillor Williamson. Questions, comment, discussion? I'll only make a comment. I'm quite happy for 12 months, but yeah. Councillor Burns,
Well, I hope they deliver, Mr. Mayor.
that's it. Okay, no more questions, comment, discussion. All in favour? Against? Carried. Over to page 107, G 12.5, 2021-22 annual report. Move councillor Watts, second councillor Clout. Any questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Carried. Over to 109, councillor McPhee, you're leaving the room. G 12.6. Okay, councillor, the School Achievements and Creative Arts Excellence Award. There's just a recommendation there. Move councillor Burns, second councillor Watts. Any questions, comment, discussion around it? All in favour? Against? Carried. Councillor McPhee, that was moved in the affirmative. Over to page. You councillors okay again? Oh, yeah. Page 116, NM 12.1, support the Commonwealth Postal Saving Bank Bill, moved by councillor Burns.
Yeah,
Got a seconder? Yeah, councillor Campbell seconded. Councillor Burns, you wish to speak to the.
Yeah, I'll just speak to it, Mr. Mayor. I don't think we need to read out the entire thing, but basically what we've seen here is for 84 years, the Australian people had a Commonwealth Bank, which is still called the Commonwealth Bank, but it's not owned by the Australian people anymore. This is actually Bob Katter's motion going up in the Parliament in the next, well, it'll be next year now. But what they want to do is ensure that the people everywhere have a bank. So this would make sure that Cassilis and Aberdeen actually have a bank because it goes into the post office, which the Australian people still wholly own. So it's a big thing that we do at the moment. We're only saying, can you please do it? It's not costing us a cent, but it would ensure that we've always got that bank, and it would go back to an institution that helped Australia actually build itself over those 84 years. It wasn't a great idea to privatise, and I know everyone's against privatisation at the time and then they love it later, but the big banks worked for shareholders. This bank would actually work for the people of Australia. So I commend it to the council.
Any questions, comment, discussion? All in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, councillors, that is the end of our open council. Someone like to move me into closed? Councillor Clout, second councillor Burns, all in favour? Against? Carried.